training I will be creating a new workspace. Workspace is the path where all your Java code will be stored. Okay, when you start Eclipse, you're getting this prompt. Okay, so I will give the workspace name as 7 July. And hold on, let Eclipse start. It will take some time to start. So just hold on. Just hold on. Actually, I have Android installed inside Eclipse, so it takes time. Just a minute. Yeah, it's fine now. Okay, so this is the welcome screen for Eclipse, which everybody will get. You can just close it, and you will get a screen like this. Okay, now in this thing, what we'll have is in this portion we'll be doing the Java coding. In this portion we'll be having the projects, right? And out here we'll get the output. All right. Now the basic mistake which people do when trying to learn Selenium is they directly jump onto Selenium. Okay, and then they find that there is very less documentation available for this tool. Okay, it's not like that the documentation is not there for this tool. You have a lot of documentation. All the documentation is present on the Selenium side, but it's little bit technical. If you just go to Google and type download Selenium, and you go to the Selenium website, you will see that for the Java extension we are learning Java, there is a java.doc link over here. This is the official documentation. If you go into this, if you don't have knowledge about Java, you will not be able to understand it. Okay, and this is a perfect documentation. I have also learned Selenium from this. Okay, now to understand this documentation, you should be the concepts of object-oriented programming. Okay, you should be aware of the concepts of object-oriented programming. I am assuming the basic thing that you are at least familiar with what a loop is, what if statements are, and all in Selenium. If you are not familiar with that, if you're not familiar at all with any programming language, then I would recommend go for the videos. I have taken everything in very detail, and you can join the training later on by paying the difference fee. Okay, so in case you're not at all aware of it, any programming language, please go for the videos. If you have a background, then this will help you. Okay, so the concepts of object-oriented programming are very important, and I'm going to concentrate on that first, and then I'll start with Selenium. Okay, so I'm in the Project Explorer. I'm going to make a new project, that is, right-click on it, select the option, New Project. Okay, and I will name I'll select Java project. If you're not getting the Java project option over here, expand this and select Java from here. Alright, so you select Java project. You can feel free to interrupt me, ask any question at any point of time. Okay, I'll name the project as day 1. Right, day 1 is the project. Next, and finish. Right, if you expand this project, you will see source folder and JRE system library. This library is nothing but Java which was installed on your machine. So make sure that before starting Eclipse, Java is installed on your machine. In case of 64-bit machines, JDK is installed. Otherwise, Eclipse gives issues. It will not start. Right? If you go to this project, if you want to see where this project is physically lying, okay, if you want to see where this project is physically lying in your machine, then you can right click on it, go to the properties of this project, and in the resource tab over here is resource option, you will have the project path. If you copy the project path, it is same as the workspace path which I had given it in the beginning while starting Eclipse. If you go here, then you will see that this is the project. Under this we have got various folders, out of which source folder is visible inside Eclipse. Rest all the folders on files, we'll talk about them. Okay, just be patient with, as time passes you'll get to know about it. Okay, now in the source folder, right, you can right click and make new Java files. Okay, I just create a new class. Class is also known as a new Java file, and I will name my Java file as say universe. Okay, I'm just renaming my Java file as universe. Okay, or you select this, or let us make it test. The first Java file, let us make it very simple. You select this option, public static void main, and finish. Okay, so I am recording the video session. I will upload this video session on YouTube and I'll mail the links to everybody. Okay, so Selenium is an open source software, but why it is not popular as QTP? Why a client is still going for QTP or RFT? If you go by the right statistics, then 2 years back nobody was even asking for Selenium. These days in US market, in UK, Australia, I get students from everywhere. This demand for Selenium has gone up tremendously. Okay, like I train people on QTP as well. I have been training since 2 years now. 2 years back when I started training, nobody used to come for Selenium. If 10 people used to come to me, 10 out of 10, all the 10 people used to ask me QTP. And I used to wonder that I know Selenium, I know QTP, why only people come for QTP? But after the last recession, okay, what happened was companies started cutting down their budgets, and Selenium has become popular. Now if 10 people come to me, 6 come for Selenium and 4 come for QTP. That's the ratio. Okay, QTP is famous in the market, but it's going down. The market has really gone down for QTP. Even I know so many companies who have just withdrawn the license for QTP. Okay, and they are shifting over to Selenium. But this doesn't mean that QTP is a bad tool or something like that. It is a very good tool. I would say if you have a good budget, go for QTP. It is a better tool than Selenium. It's got a lot of features. If I always prefer QTP. Okay, but the job market and the salaries in Selenium are really good. Okay, I'll just improve the font size of my editor. I think now it would be clear to everybody. Yeah. So, is it better to learn QTP? No, it's not like that. Both the tools. The question being asked is it better to learn QTP? Then we should go for Selenium. It's not like that. Okay, both the tools are completely different. QTP is purely VB script based. The concepts are very different. The tools are different. Everything is different. Okay, don't think that if you have learned QTP, then Selenium coding and all will be a piece of cake. It's not like that. Okay. So in Selenium you have to do everything yourself. In QTP there are a lot of inbuilt features. Right. I'm launching QTP from 15th of this month. Yes, in Selenium you can use C#, you can use Java, or you can use any other language. But the most famous language is Java because it is platform independent. It is again an open source language. You don't have to purchase the .NET framework and all from Microsoft. Okay. Right. So this is the test class. This is the function public static void main. Main is the function in which the control comes over for the very first time when you run the program. Okay, in C language as well, the control comes in the main function for the very first time. In the main function, you can write system.out.println Selenium tool. System.out.println is not the shortcut, is the command to print something on the console, to print as an output. Okay, so you can, instead of writing system.out.println, you can type SYSO, then hit Control spacebar of your keyboard and you will get this. Okay, if you run this code, how do you run this code? There's a small run icon on the top. You can click on that and this tool will run. Okay, this will run. Or you can right click on the Java file here and select the option run as Java application. Okay, so now in order to work with this tool, fine, what you need to do now is you need to understand the concepts of object-oriented programming. I'll come over to that, but let us see simple data types in Java. There's an integer. Question being asked is, can Selenium be used for automation of Oracle forms? As I am having a company in which look, I have never seen Oracle forms. I have heard about it a lot. Okay, I have never seen them myself. Does that open in a browser? First of all, I hope it's a form, right? And I hope, as far as my knowledge goes, it opens in a browser. It's a web-based application, right? Yeah, if it is a web-based application, if it's opening in a browser, you can automate it using Selenium. Yes, you can do that. But you'll have to do, you know what? You'll have to do a little bit of verification for that. Is it possible Android and iPhone testing? Yeah, this is again a very commonly asked question, that can we perform Android or iPhone testing with Selenium? Okay. Look, Selenium is a browser automation tool. If you want to test a game on Android based phone, you cannot test it. Don't try to think that you can test a game on Android. But if you want to test how a website is opening on the phone, you can test that. If you want to test the applications, right, then the better tool is Robotium. Okay, I'm also looking for that tool. It's just recently come on the market. It's from the Google. It's an automation testing tool, Robotium. That's quite good. Okay. Selenium is only for automation or performance. It is only for automation. Many people think that it is for performance and they just try to do the performance testing. As far as performance testing with Selenium is concerned, the best you can do is you can calculate how much time is the page taking to load. But you cannot just put load on the website. You cannot hit the website 50 times in 1 second. In just 1 minute, if you have to hit the website 50 times, it's a very bad idea to use Selenium. The better tool for that is JMeter. It's again an open source tool, right? Use JMeter for performance testing. Don't use Selenium. Okay, you can use Selenium to test your web services. Okay, but for web services, there's another tool known as SoapUI, which is better. Go for SoapUI. If you want to do functional testing on your site, then Selenium is best, open source tool. Right? You can connect Selenium to JMeter. Okay, you can do that. That bridge is available. Right? Okay. Any other doubts, any other questions, please feel free to ask me. Okay. There is an integer in Java, as I was talking about. Everybody might be knowing integer takes numbers. There is a string. These are some of the data types which are present in every programming language. Okay. Then you have got long. Long is to store very long numbers. Okay, it is double the capacity as integer. It's much more than double. It's quite big. Okay, so if you have a big number, for example, you book a flight or you do reservation online and you get a big number, you can store it in long, right? And yeah, that's also fine. Okay, but people, they just come up with questions randomly. So in the first class, this always happens. Okay, that people they just get random questions and they ask. So I always give them the option, right? Because in the first class, we'll just do a little bit of stuff. We'll not be doing more. Tomorrow, maybe I'll talk about working with Selenium, how to work with Selenium. Okay. Now, the thing is, the first concept which you need to learn is the concept of object-oriented programming. Okay. Now, what are objects? Right? I'll make a new class known as, say, as I was creating earlier, universe.java. Now, what properties does the universe has? Okay. For example, it will have public. It will have a property like int planets. Okay, just taking a rough example. These many number of planets are there in the universe. Okay, or let me take up a better way, right? Let me take up a better thing. Say, let me make a class called planet. What all properties has this class got? Okay, the name of the class and the name of the Java file should be same. If you change it, then Eclipse will instantly throw an error. Please note that. Okay, name of the class and name of the Java file should be same. It can have a property like int name or int size and string name. These are the two properties of a planet. Right? Now, you can make objects of the planet class and you can work in Java. What do you mean by creating objects of a class? I can create a new class known as test planets. Okay. Most of the people, they miss this stuff in Java, and that's the only reason they find Selenium very tough. So if you just give object-oriented programming, do some exercise on it, learn about it, then you'll find Selenium easy. Okay. Now, in order to create the object, something known as object of this planet class, okay, you can write in the main function of test planet, you can write this, new planet. What happens when you write like this, new planet? In the memory, okay, in the memory, an object of the planet class is formed like this. It has the properties called name and size. Okay, and if I write new planet 2 times, what happens now? Now 2 objects of this class are formed. The first object both the objects will have same properties, name and size. But these are just objects which are hanging in the air. You cannot access them. To access them, you have to give a reference. I can write planet P1 equals to new planet and planet P2 equals to new planet, and say I create third one as well, planet P3 equals to new planet. So what happens is that in the memory you have 3 objects of planet class now. Okay, all the 3 objects will have the name and the size property. Okay, and there will be references pointing towards these objects. This will be P1, this will be P2, and this will be P3. Okay, so the class is same, and for one class I have created 3 objects. P1 is the reference to first object, P2 and P3 are references to second and third objects respectively. So in order to change the state of the object, in order to access these objects, you can access this reference. If I write P1 dot, you will get the properties of that class, name and size. Name was there in the planet class and size, you can access them. I can name the planet as Earth and the size as some size like this. Okay, and you can write P2 dot name is right? And similarly, p3 dot name is mass and p3 dot size is okay. So I have three objects, and this is known as initializing the objects. Okay, I have initialized the objects. The first object is Earth. The second one became Jupiter, and the third one is Mars. Okay. In order to print the properties, you can write very simple, right? It's quite simple. P1 dot name, P2 dot name, and P3 dot name. The point out here is there is just one class. Virtually in the memory, I am creating multiple instances of that class. Okay, 3 instances of that class have been created, and that's why it's technically known object is an instance of a class. And you can create as many objects as possible. So when I write p1.name, p2.name, and p3.name, and I run this prints Earth, Jupiter, and Mars. Okay. Now what if I write on the next line p2 equals to p1? P2 equals to p1. So what will happen is that the reference which was now pointing towards p2, this object, that is p2, will be removed from this one, and p2 will now point towards the same location where p1 is pointing. So this object gets hanged in the memory, it will be destroyed. If you don't have a reference to an object, if you lose the reference to the object, you cannot access it anymore. So Jupiter cannot be accessed anymore after writing this line. Okay, now if you write the next line, the same thing, P1 and P2 will have the same name. I'll just put a demarcation boundary. Okay, and I'll run this. So what will happen is, the first 2 times it prints Earth, first time it prints Earth, Jupiter, Mars, and then Earth, Mars. Okay, now if or after this I write P1 dot name equals to Pluto, what will happen? P1 changes the state of the object, right? The name of the object is Earth, it never remains Earth, and it becomes Pluto, right? So if you write P1 dot name, it will get you Pluto, or if you write P2 dot name, it will also get you Pluto. So basically, if an object has got multiple references, any of the reference can change the value and it will be updated for rest all the references. So if you run now, P1 and P2 will print Pluto. You see the output? Oh, sorry. You see the output? Earth, Jupiter, Mars, Earth, Mars, Pluto, Mars. Okay? So this is the concept of object and object references. Many people, I have taken so many interviews, like many people, they even after working on Java, the Java developers, they don't know the difference between object and object reference. Okay? The reference, it points towards the object. Object is static in the memory, but the reference can change from one object to another. But this doesn't mean, okay, suppose I have 2 classes, one known as planets.java, the other one is say universe.java. I cannot make the object reference of universe to point towards planet. For example, if I had been making an object of universe class like this, it's not present, but just taking an example, I cannot write P1 equals to U. You cannot do this. Objects of the object references of the same classes can be equated to each other. Okay, like I have done P2 equals to P1. I moved the reference. Okay, now this thing will be used in Selenium. Object creation. You will have to create the objects of existing classes inside Selenium. Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that very soon. Just be with me. Fine. Now, what all are the properties of planet class? We'll make functions for that. I hope you know what a function is. Like the basic thing. Okay. If you are not knowing what a function is and all, you can watch the training video too on my website. I have kept it open for everybody. You can watch it after the class. Just a minute. Yeah, this one. Training video 2. Okay. You can watch it after the class, right? It's got the information on this thing, functions. Okay. I'm going to make a function here, right, for the planet class. How can you make? We can write public void say print name, and in this I'll write system.out.println name. A function is an independent unit of execution. You can call that with the help of object. Okay, in my test planets class, I can call it like this. P1 dot print name, P2 dot print name, and P3 dot print name. So when P1 calls its print name function, the print name function will print the name of P1. Okay. Similarly, when P2 calls, it prints the names of P2, and P3 for it prints the name of P3 functions. Okay. When you run this prints Pluto Mars. This is absolutely correct, right? So now when we have a piece of code which has to be repeated again and again, we make functions. For example, while testing an application, we can make a function called login. You pass over the username and password to that function, and that function will log you inside the application. Now in Selenium, there are two types of variables and two types of functions. Okay. So this is my function. These are known as global variables technically, because they are not inside a function, they are outside the function. Okay, if I declare a variable inside a function int I equals to 200, then this is known as a local variable. Local variable to the function. Right. Now technically this function is known as a non-static function, and these global variables, they are known as non-static global variables. What do you mean by non-static global variables? If I declare a global variable with the name static string sun, then this is known as a static global variable. What is the difference between non-static and static global variable? The major difference is that the static global variable, it is common for all the objects. For example, all the planets will have the same sun called as our sun. So if you initialize this variable to sun, then all the planets will have the same sun. Technically, with the help of diagram, it looks like this. if you have a static thing which needs to be common for all the objects, okay, if you have something which needs to be common for all the static, and that something will actually be placed at a memory location which is common for all the objects, and all the objects will access that particular memory location. So static stuff is not the part of the object. If I have to access static things, then you can simply write system.out.println name of the class, that is planet dot the static stuff sun. All the planets will have the same sun. Okay. Similarly, if you have a function which is common for all the planets, for example, we can make a function like public static rotate. Just taking a hypothetical example over here, public static void rotate. So this rotate function will be common for all the planets. Okay, it's not like print name. Print name function was per object. It was non-static. Okay, so this is the difference between static and non-static. Static stuff is for all the objects. It's common for all the objects. Technically, it's known as it is the property of the class. Non-static stuff is the property of the object. In Selenium, 90% of the times we will be working with non-static stuff. We will not be working with static stuff in Selenium. Okay. Now, how do we work with Selenium? How is this thing required in Selenium? How do we make objects in Selenium? That thing can be learned only after you have configured Selenium on your machine. So I will be telling you how to configure Selenium and how to use this concept of object creation. Okay. So in this class I'll be going like this only. That is, I will be teaching you some concepts of Java. Then I'll be telling you how those concepts are utilized in Selenium. And in the end, we look at frameworks. Okay. The first thing is you need to configure Selenium on your machine. Now I have heard many people telling me that I am not able to install, or they ask me the question, do you cover installation as well in your course? There is nothing known as installing Selenium. Selenium is not an exe file. It's not an exe file which you can download from internet and use it. Selenium is always configured on your machine. Okay, and in order to configure Selenium, you need to understand the concept of API and jar files in Java. Okay, just hold on, I'll tell you that. Now, what is an API? What is jar file? We'll study that. We'll download Selenium and then we'll see how to make objects in Selenium. Okay. Right. Now, when you install Java on your machine, what happens? Certain set of jar files, they come into your machine. Okay. So those jar files are out here. When you install Java, you get this JRE system library. If you expand this JRE system library, this Java is containing many jar files. Now, what is a jar file? If you look at your project day one, if you go to the properties of this project and you go to the path, basically the path where your project is lying. Under this path, you will have a source folder and you will have a bin folder. Okay? Inside the bin source folder, you will have the Java files. Right? But if you talk about the bin folder, then inside the bin folder, let me show you, you will have .class files. Every Java file, okay, when you run the program, every Java file, it gets compiled into something known as a .class file. So if you have a Java file, it will be converted into a .class file, and Eclipse, it keeps the .class files under the bin folder. This .class file is just like an executable file. Okay, you can deploy this on a Unix machine, Solaris operating system, anywhere, and this will certainly work. This will never fail. Okay, so this class file is like an exe file which will never fail in execution. It is platform independent, and that's why Java is platform independent. Right? So suppose I'm making a big project. Okay, I make a very big project and I make around 1000 Java files in it, and I want the end users to download the project. So I just cannot give them one class file at one time and ask them to download all the class files like this. So what we do is we put all the class files into a single file named as a jar file and deliver it to the customer. If you look at Java is a set of many jar files. If I expand this jar file, every jar file will have many inbuilt class files. These class files were made by the person who was making Java language. That is initially Sun Microsystems, right now Oracle. Okay, so class file is nothing but it is something like you can say it is the Java file gets converted into a class file, basically. Okay, so now similarly, the person who made Selenium made lot of Java files. Java files got converted into class files, and he put all the class files into a jar file, into many jar files, right? So out here, if you go to Google and you type download Selenium, you go to the Selenium website and there is a download link out here. The current version is 2.24.1. Okay. You can click on this download link, you will get the Java extension for Selenium. Okay, and when you download it, you expand it, you get a folder like this. Selenium, like this, the way I have got. I have got 2.21 with me. Okay, let's work with that only. They release it very fast. Okay, so this is the version of the latest version, or 2.24 is also there. That's what I was wanting. Yeah. So you go inside it and you will find jar files. Okay, these are the two jar files out here, and inside the libs you have got many other jar files as well. So you need to include all these jar files into your Eclipse. Okay, not just these two, but also the ones present in libs. Many people do this mistake. They just include these two jar files in the Eclipse project and they don't do the ones present inside libs. So you have to include all the jar files, right? How do you include these jar files is that you go to your project, you right click on the project and go to the properties of the project. Alright, and once you are on the properties of the project, there will be various options over here. In all these options, select the Java build path, third option. Okay, and go to the libraries. Just a minute. Yeah, and go to the libraries option over here. In the libraries option, you can click on this button on the right side, that is add external jars. You can add the jars for Selenium. So jars are nothing but the stuff which is having class files inside it. Okay, so you click on this, go to the place where you have downloaded Selenium, that is Selenium 2.24.1. Select these two jar files, add them, and select the jar files present in libs directly, also add them. Okay, so now what will happen is that you will see all the jar files on your project like this. In Eclipse there are various views. Okay, currently I am in Java EE view. Java EE view is basically for developing websites with Java. You should not be inside this view. Okay, rather you should always select the view known as Java, the normal Java view. If you go inside this, you will have the project, you will have the GID system library, and you will have something known as reference libraries. In this you will find that there are all the jar files of Selenium. So that's all. Okay, Selenium is now configured in your machine, right? So that's all you have to do. That's how you configure Selenium. Okay, once you have done that, you can start working with it. I'll just create a new file or a new class called as Selenium underscore example. Okay, now to work with this example, to work with Selenium, to use the process present inside this reference libraries, okay, you can go to the documentation of Selenium, which I told was pretty technical. Okay, you can go inside the Java docs out here. When you go inside Java docs, you see that these are all the classes present in Java docs. These are all the classes, these are all the inbuilt classes in all the jar files. Okay, so there's a class known as Firefox driver. You need to create the object of this class and you can do testing with Firefox. I'll just show it to you. You just need to write Firefox driver equals to new. Okay, hold on. If I just write new Firefox driver, just this much, I create the object of Firefox driver class. This is giving me an error. The error can be resolved by moving the mouse over the error, and Eclipse will give you an auto suggestion that import the Firefox driver class. Firefox driver class is present somewhere inside the jar files, inside the packages of jar files. You need to import them, import the class file into this Java file. So you select the option, import the file. You will get this first line. The file will be imported. Okay. Now when I create the object of Firefox driver and I run this, I get a blank Firefox window. You see that? Firefox has opened, the blank Firefox window has opened. Right? If I create the reference of this object, if I write Firefox driver d equals to new Firefox driver, and I write over here d dot, I will get so many functions present in this driver class. There are so many functions. I don't know what each function is doing. How will I come to know? Either there are two ways to see what these functions are doing, because these are the functions present inside this class. This class has been made by somebody else. So in order to understand what each of these function does, what it does, you need to go to this page, and out here you can click on Firefox driver and you can get the documentation of this class. That these are the functions, these are the methods and all in it. Or the best way, which I prefer, is that you import this documentation into Eclipse. How do you do that? You can go here, right click on this Java doc link, okay, and select the option copy link location. right? So what I'm trying to do here is I'm importing the Selenium documentation inside Eclipse, right? You copy the link location, go to your Eclipse and right click on the project, file, go to the properties, go to libraries, the place where jar files are there, you included the jar files here, and search for this jar, Selenium Java 2.4.1.jar, the main jar file. Okay, expand this, you will have the Java doc location out here option. You edit this location and you paste the path, and from the path remove index.html. Please remove index.html from the path. If you have Java docs downloaded on your machine, you can use the second option. I never got the option to download Java docs for Selenium. Neither did I ever try very hard to download them because I'm always connected to the net. So I get it from the net. Okay. So I connect to the Java doc URL, and that's it. Click on OK. And now when I write d dot, and suppose if I click on any function, I will get the documentation or the description of that function out here in Eclipse. This is very handy. You don't have to go into Java docs and search for it. Now there is a function called get. What this function does, load a new web page in the current browser of the window. This is equivalent to browser.navigate in QTP if you have studied QTP. Okay. So in order to get to some URL, you write d.get and you specify the URL. Suppose I need to go to Gmail, so I'll write gmail.com. But the point out here is that in Selenium you need to specify the protocol as well. If I just write this much, I'll get an error. In Selenium you need to write the protocol, that is http gmail.com, it is mandatory. So what this will do is this will open the Firefox browser. It will create the object of that browser, it will open Firefox, and D will be the reference to that object. So with that reference, if I fire any function, then that change will be reflected on that particular Firefox browser. If you run this, or if I run this, just a minute. So this will open a browser, Firefox, and it will take you to gmail.com. Okay, right? Now, if I create the object 2 times, this is similar to creating the objects of the planet class. If I write D1 and I write Yahoo over here, so what will happen is this object, this browser there will be 2 browsers opening. First one will go to Gmail, second one will go to Yahoo. If I run this, you will see that first one is over and 2 browsers they open. The second one is going to yahoo.com. Okay, so this way you have 2 browsers opening up when you create the object of Firefox driver. Okay, I'll talk about Chrome driver, how to work with Chrome. Okay. I'll talk about that. First of all, let's